this thing off right. Raider! Power! Raider! Power! Man, I've been waiting all my life to do that.
Texas Tech definitely had a damn good signing day. I think last I saw we were at 16, right? 16 people had signed today.
Guys, we get 18.
18 now. Okay. It jumped. I mean, any big names, any big surprises, any initial reactions, Dustin? What are you thinking over there?
Yeah, I'll give you like some general stuff. I know Brooks has names and numbers and whatnot. I listened to Coach McGuire's press conference today. He had kind of a general press conference to, State of the Union of Texas Tech recruiting.
Yeah, I heard it.
And it was really good.
It wasn't bad. It was a good 30 minutes.
We jumped up from like the 40s or 50s into 39th by the end of the day. Yeah, 18 recruits, 2 4-stars, 15 3-stars. It's huge to get 2 4-stars. We flipped like 3 kids today that were supposed to be somewhere else. Came here. We still missed out on a few we thought might flip, but that's okay. We weren't in on them to begin with, and with coaching change a month ago, that's going to happen. Some kids are going to stick with where they're at. Coach McGuire said, and you can see by the list of who we got, we went very defensive and O-line heavy, which is great because that's 2 really good places to start with a team, especially a young, developing team. You needed O-line help, one, so you just had to address that. And defense is always good. He looked at D-line a lot. We got some D-back commits from our 2 Oregon coaches that we got from there. One of those flips was an Oregon commit, and then we kind of stole them in the last day or 2 because of getting their defensive coordinator and D-backs coach. So that's cool. And we're not done either. I mean, this is early signing day. These kids still have a few months to decide where they want to go. And he's going to keep working at that. We're not stuck at 18 and we're done for the year.
Mm-hmm.
We want next year. You can go get transfers or still work on some of these kids that you are still talking to that are undecided. I think the jump of who we got is very good and what we got on the defensive and O-line side of things. You didn't take any – you took like 1 running back, 1 receiver, and no quarterbacks. But and they asked Coach McGuire that today, and he said that's an attribute to what we already have. That's just the fact that we don't need that currently right now. I'm not saying we're not going to go get 1 or 2 more of those guys, but we don't need a quarterback right now. Like our quarterback room, he says, is probably one of the best in the country, and can't hardly argue that.
Yeah,
those 3 guys. So really good day. It was hard to keep up with, to be honest.
Overall, just a really solid class, just full of 3-star guys. And the keys about a good coaching staff is, can you take these 3-star players and turn them into, should have been 4 stars, should have been 5 stars. Like, can you bring them up and develop them? And why this is such an exciting early signing day, we haven't had one since I think like 2015, maybe even before that. It's just, you have coaches that you believe that can develop them. Wells really committed to the transfer portal and to fill the gaps. And while that's going to help teams, how we always talk about the consistency of coordinators and stuff like that. Well, getting these guys in high school, bringing them in as freshmen, having them as sophomores and juniors, that's going to help you so much more than getting a guy who's already used to one system, one program or whatever, and then getting him for a year.
Yeah.
Like, getting these guys and developing them is so important to having a successful program. And that's just something Wells didn't do. And, McGuire comes in here and in a month takes us from a 70th ranked class to a top 40 class.
Yep.
And so the emphasis they put on recruiting these Texas high schools and other states around us and getting these young guys in, but also hitting the transfer portal when you need to.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch, and it's given us something to actually be excited about on this day for the first time in forever,
Yeah, that's like what I wanted to hit on before we leave this recruiting and go to basketball was, realize we just got a bunch of high school kids, so they're going to be freshmen next year. They're not going to fix and turn this thing around in 2022 like instantly. So have some patience with this Don't think like, oh my God, we're only winning 6 or 7 games next year. It's okay.
Yeah.
Let's do another top 30 class. Let's do another.
Yeah.
You start adding that together.
Yeah.
That's when it starts to come together. I was reading an article last week. I was searching for something. We averaged like in the high 40s as a class since 2000. So like around the 47, 48 range. So we're overshooting that by almost 10 spots. So like we're doing better than our average. Now,
Yeah.
Wells' average was worse. Cliff's was give or take. And Tuberville was actually better than that. Tuberville was around, this 30-ish range. And that was, some pretty talented teams with Tuberville. And that was Cliff's best teams were with Tuberville's kids. So, I mean, think back on those years and who he brought in. Some very, very talented NFL-type talent. Let that develop. Let that build. Add some more top 30 classes. On top of each other, and in 2024, 25, these kids are going to be growing a little bit, and maybe they'll produce. And also, you might strike out on a few of them.
This is not going to be next year. This is going to be for the year after at least. And before we'll see improvements, we may see the same result, and that'd be kind of an awesome first year for him to go 6-6 or 7-5 and get another bowl.
It really depends on who you're able to keep from this year moving on. Like once the bowl game happens and then we figure out, who's staying, players like Eric Ozakama, Sir Roderick, like guys who could stay another year. Once we get that all sorted out, then you can kind of figure out where our trajectory might be next year. Because if you get some of these guys to stay around for one more year, hey, you have a pretty good outlook on it. But yeah, asking these players to come in and immediately be impact players, that's a lot to ask for. Yeah. But to come in, get experience with a coaching staff who you've put together that seems to be pretty great coaching staff that's motivated to recruit players here, staff that laughing on Twitter about people saying everybody says it's hard to recruit in Lubbock. Like, this is just things that you haven't seen here in a long time. And we know it can be done. We've seen it in other sports. So to finally have a staff that's going to recruit hard here, like, this is the first layer, and then can you just keep stacking it?
How many of these names are Texas boys?
Yeah, right. They mentioned it today. I think we had at one point like 11 or 12 out of 14 or 15. It's over, but yeah.
It's only 4. It's only 4 in this entire list that are not from Texas, and that's only going to grow.
14 out of 18. And that's awesome.
Like, that is phenomenal, and that's what we were really hoping out of him, was for him to have some pull from all of the Texas talent that comes that tends to leave this state for bigger schools or whatever. And that was one of the main things that I kind of saw going up and down this list and stuff. I was like, no, wait, Texas. He's doing his part. Like, hell yeah.
Catch y'all at the next tailgate.